Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Crypto Hipster Podcast. This is your host, Jamil Hassan, the Crypto Hipster, where I interview founders, entrepreneurs, executives, thought leaders, amazing people all around the world of crypto, blockchain, and today AI as well. I have an amazing guest. I've known her for half a year now through the Digital Economist. Her name is Dr. Shruti Shankar Gaur. Dr. Gaur, Shruti, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Jamil. It's a pleasure.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. So let's kick things off. And I ask everybody the same question, get amazing answers all the time. Is this is what is your background and is it a logical background for what you're doing now?
Okay, so let me begin by saying that I'm a unique data set because I hold a master's in organic chemistry, and yet eventually I ended up becoming an educationist and I have a PhD in inclusive education. I'm also a university gold medalist and was awarded Certificate of Academic Excellence by Ministry of Human Resource and Development, which it was called then by Government of India. And I'm a published poet. I have worked extensively in inclusion and diversity space and in education space for more than a decade now in India. And I have my own initiative called RIEDU, Research and Innovation in Education, and where we work with children in the domain of inclusion and diversity. So yeah, that's me.
Awesome. Awesome. I did not know you were a poet. Very cool.
Yeah.
Very get into that a little bit later. Um, I wanna find out your about first your association with the Digital Economist, what it has been, what it will be going forward.
The Digital Economist is my sacred space. It's something that is so precious to me. It was in 2022 that I first collaborated with them on a position paper, and ever since, I have been a part of it and loved every bit of it. I joined as senior fellow in 2023. In 2024, I started working as program director, which I had been, program director until now, until last few days. Where I was managing the fellowship program of the global think tank. And yeah, it's a wonderful space for, I think, anyone to grow, learn, and, evolve and to be part of the change.
Yeah, I agree. So part of the change is every year we have a footprint, and I couldn't go this year, and I hope to go next year at the World Economic Forum in Davos, right? So regarding technology and AI, you know, what are some of the most critical areas that must be addressed that you found from a socio cultural and inclusive perspective?
Yeah, great question, I would say. I went to Davos in 2023. That was my first time, and it was the first time that AI, 2022 was AI year. So Jan 23, it was all about AI, and it did so many panels. This year, definitely AI had a big presence, but along with that, what I observed was that there were more concerns being addressed. So while we were talking about, focus of AI or the impact of AI in today's context as well as in future perspective, but yes, there were a lot of conversations happening that the way concerns about the way AI was evolving and how to build guardrails, how to build guidelines and ensure that AI ethics, are in place for safety. So yeah, a lot of concerns from that perspective I was part of, and I think that this is very imperative that. The pace at which AI is growing, we build the guidelines and the guardrails and set up AI ethics for it to evolve in a beautiful way, because otherwise it's scary at times.
Oh yeah. So you use two adjectives there when describing AI. Use scary, which is a lot, which is a the common sentiment, and safety. How do you bring safety into the conversation? How do you ensure safety?
That's a good question to have. So, I think I would like to look at it from a socio-cultural or philosophical perspective, because that's what my background is, instead of technology perspective. So, if you look at it from philosophy perspective, I think human race or human civilization, the way it has evolved is being in control always. So and we were scared of the unknown. And AI is venturing into the unknown. So the moment we are venturing into the unknown, our safety net is not there, and it's scary. Now, so definitely for us all, we would like to build those safety nets and be part of it. So what you said, that how these two relate to, I think they are the same perspective, like two parts of the same coin. So, and it's important to, while we are evolving in the AI era that we are, it's important that we start building these guardrails which help us navigate in the unknown. Else, how will we navigate in the unknown? The way we are moving ahead with.
Yeah, I
I
remember.
hope that answers your question.
It does. I remember going to Tony Robbins, where you walk on fire, where you walk on coals back in 2016, and he said the key is to dance, learn how to dance with uncertainty. You know, and so I always remember that wherever I go. So you mentioned humans, right? So the role of AI technology in human evolution, Darwinism, right? What is that like? What is that to you?
Interesting, because you didn't say role of humans in AI evolution. You said role of AI in human evolution. So that means we have accepted and agreed that AI is a big force, a tsunami or whatever, and we are in an AI age, and it has the power to influence, navigate, manipulate um, human evolution, human thinking, human working, whole civilization landscape. And if I look at it, the world order is changing from a socio-cultural perspective. The world order is changing. Most of the world order has crumbled. We are yet not sure what's the way ahead. And what I would like to work on is that right now, change is a forced change. Like, I might not like it, I might not want it, but I have a phone because everyone has. I was part of the change. What I would like to be part of is being part of the conscious change. So, yeah, and for that to happen, a new homeostasis, a new sort of balance, a new harmony has to be built, knowing very well that AI is here to stay. AI, we have to learn to coexist and to navigate our lives with AI and human evolution. Instead of going into the unknown in a unconscious way, we have to navigate ourselves into the unknown in a conscious way. And we have to ask ourselves primary questions like, what is the vision for humanity 100 years from now or 50 years now? What are the core values which makes anyone human, or which differentiates us from AI, or which are the core values which will always remain relevant? It doesn't matter if we have technology or if we don't have technology, but that is what makes us who we are. So yeah.
I'm wondering, I'm looking at from the time that Facebook came on board and the iPhone came on board, there's been dramatic change, right? But how do you help people or make people want like practice conscious change? How do you bring consciousness into that change as you're going forward?
Very good question, I would say. I would say that change has to begin at the individual level. So if you ask me, that AI is just a mirror of our own consciousness. So, for example, Charles Eisenstein's theory of separation. My disconnect with myself makes me, more acceptable to virtual reality, because like the evolution that we are talking about now, it's not going to be an organic evolution. AI is not organic, it's artificial. That's why it's called artificial. That's something that we have have built upon. And if I talk about in early 20th century, there had been this theory of noosphere. You can check it. It was by a philosopher and a theologist, and they said that human evolution or AI, from the concept of having impact of a global conscious knowledge, will be impacted through humans. Let me explain, simplify it. So that, for example, in an AI world, AI will impact the way we think. So the whole conscious knowledge pool that we have, AI will have a role to play in that. AI will have an impact on that, and that will decide the future course of human evolution. And that's the theory of noosphere, which was uh, um, theorized in early 20th century. Yeah.
It's interesting you said that because AI is not new. It's been around. It comes in cycles, in 20-year cycles, and it's been around since the early 1900s, right? So, but now it seems to be, I mean, everybody's talked about it, but now it seems to be more relevant or more prevalent or more, I guess, becoming a reality. So you are a thought leader, you are a social thinker, an education person, educationist, and a poet, right? So you have three different diverse areas that you're involved with. So what are your biggest concerns from each of those areas, and how do you bring it together and move forward, um, being conscious in those three realms?
So, my biggest concern here, Jamil, is that um, if AI is being projected as a demigod, which it is, mind you, in many spheres, as if it is the savior being born, giving fuel to the salvationist culture that we are part of, then I don't agree with that, and I have biggest concern there. And if you even in Nexus by Yuval Noah Harari, and even in Infinite Education, both these books, the authors have mentioned that the birth of a digital species. So they have said that AI is not a tool, that we might think of. Like you just said that, it has become a part of who we are. It's of our whole world. It's a tsunami now. So it's a digital species, and we have to learn to coexist with the digital species. And our concern here, be it as a social thinker, be it as an educationist, or even as a poet, is how to save what is human in this world, and how to ensure that humanity is not marginalized, and how to ensure that we are connected. uh, there is a connect, human to human connect, human to nature connect, and we are not separated, because maybe I may be connecting to you through technology right now, but maybe I'm disconnected to people around me here. So yeah, that is my biggest concern, that how to remain human or save what is human, or humanity in this AI world.
So I'm wondering if that was some of the topics on the agenda at Davos this year.
They were not. If you ask me. Yeah, the only thing closest they were talking about was AI ethics and guardrails. But yeah, no one is actually thinking about the root causes and the impact, and how disconnected we are, the social or cultural perspective of it.
Why I'm in blockchain, why I'm in crypto, is because I think, it's the first time in human history where you're at this intersection of social, technology and, really advancement, technological advancement, but it is social and technology and investing, but finance, really. So at that triangle, right? What is the world of that triangle in AI comparatively look like to you? Is it
Can you
enhance
repeat the question? Sorry.
does it help the world of the blockchain of that intersection of those three, or does it enhance it? Does it take away from it? What could be the role? What is the role? What could be the role?
What is the role of blockchain, AI, and what's the third one?
Well, the role of blockchain is this culmination of finance, technology, and social impact, right? So how does AI either take away from that or enhance it?
I don't think AI can enhance it or take away from that. None of them. If you ask me, from sociocultural perspective, how I see blockchain. So let's go back to what are the values that blockchain stands for. It stands for transparency. It stands for trust. It stands for decentralization and protection of our privacy. Now, if you look at the world around, do you see trust? No, trust is breaking. Do you see transparency? I don't see that happening. Do you see decentralization being promoted? In fact, the opposite is happening. More centralized, more control. Do you see, being sensitive to or respecting privacy or protection, data protection? No. Your and my data is just a click away. Everything can be, just everything can be known. So that is why, and I come from inclusion background, I come from diversity background. I see blockchain technology as a technology of hope. But at the same time, I'm very well aware that the world right now is not in is not an ally or not in union with the blockchain technology because of the values it stands for. However, you and I are people who would want to work to ensure that the world stands for all these values. And Jamil, the day that will happen, blockchain will be the next AI. Blockchain doesn't need support of AI to, do something. If it aligns with the values that humanity right now have, which is like in a very bad state. So that's my vision. That's my perception. And I can also share with you, there's a very beautiful anecdote that, it's shared in a Story of Bee by Daniel Quinn. And he said that there is a difference between vision and program. And blockchain is a program. AI is a vision. So for AI vision, vision pulls itself. So automatically AI is growing and evolving. Blockchain, because it's still a program, it's still a plan, it needs a push effect. And we have to push it till it becomes a vision, or change its course in some other form till it takes its own shape and becomes as big and as independent or autonomous as AI is, which is growing on its own. So yeah, that's
Got it. So it gives me something to think about. I want to shift gears a little bit, but stay within your expertise. And you have been a champion and a crusader for inclusion and diversity. I want to talk about the job markets eventually get there, but I want to start by talking about policy. The U.S. has taken a policy recently to roll back, inclusion, diversity, DEI policies. They're not the only country. What's your perspective on that rollback of DEI policies in the USA and around the world?
a great question. I would like to continue what I was saying, that again, DEI was a program. It was not a vision. So it was already, we were just pushing it to happen. And the moment that push, there was not enough reason to push it, which was from the government, like, sorry to say that, and that happened and it rolled back. I was not surprised when it happened, and I'm not worried even because it's happened. There is a snowballing effect across the world because I have worked extensively in inclusion space at the ground level. One thing that I have understood is that you cannot teach people inclusion. The reason being that the cultural training or the cultural indoctrination, which is pasted on us all, because of there are so many cultural or uh, unconscious biases that it's difficult to go back to being who you are, because when we talk of diversity, when we talk of equity and inclusion, these are fundamental values of being human. And that means the cultural training has ensured that we discriminate other person from us on the basis of caste, gender, region, language, religion, XYZ, all these parameters. So I and you are different and we don't become we. So I believe it's working backwards, going back to the core, removing those postings, understanding that at 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 the core level, compassion is omnipresent, inclusion is omnipresent. I will give you an example. You might think that Shruti is talking too philosophical. So I was taking this workshop few years back, like at least 10 or 12 years back. I was taking this workshop in Delhi government school for pre-service and in-service teachers. And this was to orient them towards inclusive education, about inclusion and diversity, to embrace students of every kind, including disability. So for 2 days, I ran this workshop. We did a lot of work, a lot of activities, trying to, trying our best. And at the end of the workshop, after the workshop was completed, one of the teachers, she came to me and she said, ma'am, it was so good. You were so nice. But don't you think that disability is a curse from previous birth? How do you expect us to allow that child to be in our class with other children? You won't believe, Jamil, I was like, the 2 days I have completely wasted. And it's my failure that I couldn't, but I could not. Then I thought about it, contemplated it. I was so filled with sadness, I would say, because I thought that how do I fight the cultural training that since childhood, this teacher who's well educated, who understands at the cognitive level that inclusion is important for if we want the whole society to grow, but the cultural indoctrination that disability is a curse from previous birth, how do I negate that? So that is why I believe inclusion, for inclusion to happen, actually, it has to work at a very, that is why I work with children, if you ask me, because I feel that they are the most inclusive people. They are the most beautiful. They just love everyone. They don't discriminate. They are still without those cultural training and pastings. So I can work with them and I can show how beautiful the world is when we celebrate diversity. So I hope that answered your question.
Oh, it does. It's good. It's good. It's yeah. So that's your perspective on it. So I want to find out from a policy perspective, what's the impact of the Trump factor on the socio-cultural perspective around the world? I guess for or against the U.S. You know, what's your
So my take here would be that, it's just another step, because what is happening, and that is happening at least for last few years across the world, and now US has also joined the bandwagon, that is worldwide pseudo democracy is happening, is at place basically. And US also proved it, that yes, yeah, pseudo democracy is there as well. And there was a time when the whole world looked up to United States of America. Um, I don't think they do at this point of time. And it's a time, like I had discussed initially, it's a time of turmoil, it's a time of change, which is always messy. It's a time of building a new world order. And to build the new world order, there has to be a lot of destabilization, there has to be a lot of deharmony going on. And yeah, and I think I'm hopeful, Jamil, that we will find the new homeostasis. We will find the new balance. Let this broth boil. Let it brew for a while. Um, because without that, any sort of revolution, any sort of change won't happen until we are in that comfortable position. And I think Trump is the best person to shake our seats and to make us, to wake us up and to get us do some work. Yeah.
That makes sense. We're going to need to do work. So, and speaking of work, I want to talk about the job market, right? What essential changes do we need in education to ensure the future generation is equipped for the new world, what's coming down the pike, including AI, blockchain, everything? What changes need to happen?
I think we should ask with asking the basic questions. Like first question is, what is the new world? Second question is, what is the role of education? So if you ask me, the fundamental role of purpose of education is preparation of life. And but if we talk about the from the narrow perspective, so I would like to quote Robert Kiyosaki, who said that the job of education is to get a job. As simple as that. And then we come back to the second question, what is the world that we are heading toward? Like, so that we know that this is the world and this is where our children have to be prepared. We know that factory model education is redundant. It's not required, but we don't know the world we are heading into. But we know one thing for sure. Adaptability is one single trait that would be required so much more. You be in any work area, but you need to be adaptable because the social change that used to happen earlier in decades, now it's happening in months. So unless and until you're not agile, it will become difficult to cope up to that. And I think second or third most important skills to be nurtured is curiosity and critical thinking. So, and if you ask me, what is the role of AI, or technology in education? I think the best thing that technology has done is it provides access, opportunity, and it can be equitable. So, and that is why I would say I would still be hopeful that AI can de-standardize our standardized education system, because it can help learners develop and work according to their individual um, education plan, whoever needs what based on that. And yeah, I think only concern will be EQ and SQ if they are taken care of.
Got it. So you said a key word there was redundancy, and I think about the education system. I think about my education, and a lot of people have come out of school, both high school and college, financially illiterate.
Yeah.
You know, how do you? Because they'd rather teach you something like what happened 200 years ago instead of, hey, this is how you make a sound financial decision. So how can technology, AI, blockchain, help redefine and remake, the education system to make it non-redundant?
Yeah, so I think first what I said is de-standardizing the standardized education system. Because we don't need our students or children to know all the information. Information is available, right? We are living in an information era. It's just a click away. We want them to be able to analyze, to correlate, to connect, and to comprehend different informations. And for that to happen, they have to have the curiosity. They have to have, curiosity will lead them to question. So they to be curious, the why is this, how are they interconnected and all that. And with AI, because we see a lot of, I love this visual representation of things, so that makes you understand any topic or concept in a very different and in a very, I would say, simple way. So that is how I see that technology can play a very big role. Considering financial thing, if you're talking about, so education's role is not to teach finances, because its role is to create, like the factory model education, which was built during industrialization. The role is to create followers, to create workers. So they will not want any of us to know about finances, so that you can do work for someone else. If you learn finances, you will know how to work for yourself. So I think that's still, because I'm not big fan of edtech solutions. I find them old wine wrapped in a new bottle. So I would say still for finances, it's it comes to us learning the game, us learning the trade ourselves only.
I think the key word you said there was curiosity. I think curiosity, right, what makes sense to me is it would drive conscious change.
Yes, I agree. Absolutely.
Makes sense. Awesome. Well, I want to thank you very much for speaking with me today. This has been an enjoyable and delightful conversation. I have one last question, really. And is how can people find out more information about you? How can they find out, how can they follow your work, poetry and everything else? How can they find out more information about the Digital Economist? How can they do that?
Yeah, of course. I can put the link. I have my portfolio about my organization as well. And yeah, Amazon link of my book as well. So I look forward to interacting and, yeah, to the audience. And thank you so much for having me. It was an honor. And I thoroughly loved our conversation. Yeah,
Awesome. Thank you very much for your time today.
thank you.